If you can relate to needing to go to the loo as soon as you put your key in your front door, then this chat might just be for you, because we are talking about pelvic floors and, more importantly, pelvic floor health, which is a subject which I was surprised at how little I knew about, I'm embarrassed to say. And I'm going to get on Louise Field, who is, via request, she's going to come on, who is an expert. Never ever easy. Here we go. Yes! Lovely. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Amy. And you know how you just said in the intro, oh, I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know as much as what I thought, I thought I should. That's across the board. And that isn't just us in the community. It is also health professionals and medical professionals and fitness professionals. Um, yeah,
I'm glad
yeah,
you said that, because the reason for us meeting was that you probably remember, I put out a post and it was like, these are my 3 secrets to a happy midlife: uh, testosterone, HRT, and my leak-proof pants. And whoa, did I get the hairdryer treatment? My hair was blowing backwards, because people said, listen, this is not something we accept in midlife. Urinary incontinence is something that you need to educate yourself about, and also you don't necessarily need to accept. So, oh, have you frozen? Oh, it's knocked you out. I think I'm going to have to get Louise back on again. Let's hold that thought. It dropped us out.
it's fine. We're here.
So I don't know where you got up to, Louise, but I was just
No, I
saying
heard it all.
one of the
Yeah.
things is not to accept it. So I loved the fact that we linked up, because this sort of information, I'm 53 years old. Oh my goodness, I didn't know, I mean, an oomph of it. So can we start at the very, very beginning,
Yeah, sure.
everyday school?
Oh,
And
okay.
if I can just explain to everybody that Louise is an expert now in pelvic floor health, having been a fitness professional and
Yeah.
suddenly had an interest in pelvic floor health. So perhaps you could start telling us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was teaching fitness, and I mean, I'm 55 next month. So when I was in my 20s, I was teaching fitness and doing the aerobics and the step and the legs, tums and bum. And then as the years progressed on, I remember there was so often that you'd see women just nip out to the loo. And I knew where they were going. They knew where they were going. I didn't question anything. They'd come back in and carry on with the class. Then there was also a stage where I had 3 women in 1 year that said, at the end of the class, oh, you won't see me for quite a few weeks. I'm having a little op done. And I was first of all like, oh, okay. Well, when you come back and you get signed off from the consultant, I'll treat you with lots of tender loving care, and all the best. And that was in my remit. Yeah, and it still is our remit. But then I thought, well, what do I do with them when they come back? How do I look after them? Because I love my ladies. And so often, actually, with gynecological surgery, hernia surgery, there isn't any rehab always offered afterwards, and we have rehab for our knee if we have a surgery done on it before you go climb up Mount Snowdonia. But what about actually when we require surgery in the pelvis? Now, the pelvis is in the centre of our body, yeah, supporting our limbs and our trunk. And it's involved with every action we do. So literally, if I was to stand up, the camera isn't low enough, but if I was to stand up, if I was to do the salsa, can you see the pelvis moves, yeah?
Yeah.
If I sit down, stand up, the pelvis is moving all of the time. These muscles are inside, as are all the muscles on the outside. Muscles joining into here as well, deep abdominal muscles, lower back muscles, they're all joining in. And if you look here, the coccyx is surrounded by pelvic floor muscles.
Yeah.
And actually, if there's something going on with the coccyx or lower lumbar area, that often can affect the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor and the bladder, the bowels, and pelvic organ prolapse, how that is presenting, it can be affected by so many things. In fact, bladder and bowel problems can begin when you're at school, when you're starting out at school.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so many children will get constipation. Girls may hold on to their bladder because actually by 9:30 the toilet seat, or the boys have had a little pee and they've decorated the toilet
Oh
seat.
yeah, that's in
And
my house. Yeah, I have that at home
yeah,
now.
yeah, absolutely. And so then they start holding on to the bladder, and we get into these bathroom habits of like hovering over the toilet, or have a wee before you leave the house. And so actually, we introduce loads of different bathroom habits into our daily lives as we go along. Don't want to poo if it's not on my loo. All of those things, yeah, it has an impact. And the brain actually talks to the bladder and the bowels. And then there is, how are those muscles performing? They need to be coordinated, they need to be in balance, they need length to enable strength. And there's many reasons why actually those muscles may not be talking to each other as well as what they could be for performing for what we need. And then that can result in, if we think of the different stages in our life that there can be problems or more vulnerability, is teenagers. They're holding on to their bladders and bowels all day, and then they start finding that they get urgency and stress incontinence. Stress incontinence being a leakage when you jump, shout, sneeze, laugh. It can be when you're pregnant, postnatal, if you have an operation around the pelvis, and then also come the menopause, because that change of hormones. And it could be that you're presented with no symptoms all your life, but then the menopause comes, and actually that's the thing that sort of like knocks it off balance. Muscles like movement. So again, if we've got a sedentary job, or if we are experiencing joint pain in menopause and not exercising the same, everything contributes to it. It's just, I love these muscles. I love them
Yeah, I can tell,
because
and it shines through, and you're passionate about it, and you've made it your channel, which is an incredible resource, which I'll obviously link to. But I think you're passionate about it because it's a conversation that's been kept very quiet and slightly pushed aside. And I know that having had a hernia surgery myself, I definitely didn't have any rehab afterwards. And it's a conversation that you have after you've had children. Not everyone has had children, and it's a conversation that happens then. And it feels like it happens just after you've had your children, and then no one.
yeah. Can you hear me? Because you just dropped out. Can you hear
Sorry,
me?
it just popped
Oh,
off.
that's
Yeah,
it. You're there. Yeah, and also when you've just had a child or baby, you're in survival mode.
yeah,
So you are literally just getting through the day.
yeah.
And absolutely, if we are more informed at school on how these muscles work, if women are growing up throughout their life with good bathroom habits, knowing how to look after their pelvic floor muscles, then when they are postnatal, they already know what to do, and then they're going to be in a much better position, to then move on forward. But there's pelvic health physios that they can see through the GP or through. Can you hear me, by the way, Amy?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
hear
good,
you. I
good,
can
good.
hear you.
Okay, I just double check there. So you can access a pelvic health physio through the GP. You can access them privately, and then of course we have the Adore Your Pelvic Floor program, which is geared specifically to women in the community, which is all bespoke to the individual, and that's really important because 85% of symptoms can be managed or resolved with the right programming.
Great, right. Hold that exact thought because this is where we're coming from. And it's an enormous subject. And from everything that you've said so far, Louise, is that this is a topic we should be talking about at the very beginning of our teaching our children about hanging on to not going to the loo and where to go and how to go and everything else. So that's a whole big topic which we need to do a live on because that's
Yeah,
important. And it's actually just blown my mind that it is even a topic for our children.
yeah, yeah.
But where we are right now,
Mm-hmm.
midlife ladies, so I did a post saying I love my leak-proof knickers. What you're saying is you don't need to accept it. There are plenty of things that we can try, educate ourselves with. So there's a lot of talking around it, a lot of terms which I don't think we understand. Kegels, kegels, all
Yeah.
these sorts of things. DIY, should I see a professional? Is this
Yeah.
something I manage myself? Should I tell anyone about it? When do I see my GP? So much to unpack. But so what's the first thing that we should do, Louise, is when do we know we've got a problem?
Okay. At the end of the day, if you notice that you leak when you sneeze, laugh, jump, shout, then the muscles are not being, they're not coordinated or strong enough or reactive enough to cope with the load placed upon it.
Right.
So that is number one. If you find that you are going to the toilet regularly for 3-second wheeze, that is not worth your time in the toilet or the loo roll or flushing the loo, yeah? The
Right.
bladder should be able to take a nice 500 mils, 4 to 500 mils. And if you're thinking, well, how long is that wee then? Well, if we think, let's get like an 8 to 10 second wee in with a good flow at least, generally, yeah?
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Ooh, you've got some
yeah.
really high standards.
No, and you know what though, Amy? If I didn't do what I do, I know I would have frequency. I know I would. And there are some real simple things you can do with frequency to actually, for many people, knock it on the head so quickly.
Yeah.
Yes, there's pelvic floor health programming, but if I explain what's going on when we got frequency.
Yes, please.
So I'm leaning on this ball, so that's really handy. Say this is the
Yeah.
bladder.
Yeah.
Okay. So when your bladder wants to empty, it will squeeze. Okay? And then the pelvic floor that will send a message, and then you'll sit on the toilet and the pelvic floor will release, and then you empty. Okay. Right. When you suddenly got the bladder squeezing and you are out and about, the first thing you're doing is you get on high alert. Where's the toilet?
Yes.
Where is the
That's me.
toilet?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Soon as you do that, then your bladder goes, yeah, I've got her, I've got her, I've got
Oh my
her,
God,
right?
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The brain talks to the bladder and the bowels, yeah? It's a smooth muscle, as is the heart. So as soon as you get like that on your heart, the bladder goes, yeah. Okay?
Oh my
So
God. So hang on. Are you saying that this is a psychological effect that we're having?
both. It's
Right.
both, yeah, physiological and psychological. But when you go like that,
Yeah.
then your bladder goes like that. And
Yeah.
it's really, really excited. And it wants to dominate. It wants to dominate. So, and we don't like to be dominated, do we, Amy?
No, we
So,
don't. Not with our
so
thoughts. No.
no. So the first thing you want to do as soon as that happens is keep calm. Now in your head you might be thinking, I'm not calm at all, but I'm going to tell myself I'm calm, and then I'm going to walk to the toilet, sit down calmly, then I'm going to pee.
Yes.
And that is the first thing to do. That will make a massive difference. Now, there's another thing that you can do, and that is to distract what's actually going on. So, okay, let's think. I was with a child once, yeah? I need the toilet, I need the toilet, I need the toilet. And I said, count steps until we get to the toilet. And they did, they happily, they complied with me and went 1, 2, 3, 4. They distracted that panic. And
Yeah.
again, bladder calmed down. There are two things that you can put in straight away. Yes, food can aggravate it. Certain medications can aggravate it. Yes, our hormones can aggravate it. But they are two practical things that you can put in immediately, and it will really help. If you are waking up at night and you need the frequency, so I meet women regularly that get up 4 or 5 times in the night. And if
Right.
we're talking of menopausal health or anybody, getting up 5 times, 4 times in the night, then you're not going to get good sleep. And yes, I know you can close your eyes and walk to the toilet and kind of do it in your sleep, but you're still not getting your deep sleep.
Mm.
So when you wake up, you curl your toes calmly.
Right.
Just breathe. So just curl your toes. So I'm in bed, my fingers are actually my toes now. You just curl your toes, and that can distract the bladder, because it's just what happens. It's just what happens. There's a connection of our pelvic floor from our feet to our jaw. And obviously
That's
we know the
amazing.
brain.
Have you got a t-shirt with that on, Louise?
No, I
You
haven't.
need one. You need one. We all need one. We need that t-shirt. From your
So
pelvic, right. Yeah,
yeah, the
brilliant.
pelvic floor is connected from your feet to your jaw, but actually we also know it's the brain as well. So these are all things we can do.
Yeah,
And that distraction, if you're out through the day, if you're at the supermarket and you're in that queue and you can see there's like going to be another 10 minutes in that queue waiting, and you know you need to get to the toilet, leaving your shopping trolley isn't an option, but then curl up and down on your toes. So do it now, Amy. Stand up and just slowly go up and down on your toes.
yeah.
Right? Okay, slowly go up and down, slowly, 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 and you're going to be
Ah.
calm. That I'm glad I got you to do it.
So
That's it.
so I'm soothing myself. I'm trying to work it through by
Yeah,
distracting it with the movement and slowing my thoughts. Is that what I'm
yeah,
doing?
yeah. And also, yeah, basically we have a nerve that goes all the way through the pelvis down to the toes as well. And so that again just distracts the bladder. So yeah, these are three practical tips that you can just put in place straight away.
They are
Um,
absolutely brilliant. And Louise, so they're almost like dealing with invasive thoughts, aren't they? Because I know that Susie Redding often sort of talks about this. And you know, when you've got that thought coming to your mind, you do things like you relace your hands, or
oh, okay.
that's one I've heard for when you have an intrusive thought.
Yeah.
And it's similar. Gosh, the mind is so powerful.
Yeah, yeah, and there is definitely physiological things going on as well, 100%. And that's why pelvic floor programming, it actually involves looking at your toilet habits, looking at, yes, is there a trigger? There's always a trigger with frequency. And then just looking at how the pelvic floor muscles are reacting and how to get them to react optimally. I can't
Yeah,
say that word.
yeah,
And then you move forward. And as I said, 85% of symptoms can generally be resolved, at least better managed, and then it's not ruling your life, because with frequency, and we're only talking of one subject because there are
yeah.
so many. There's UTIs, there's urgent incontinence, there's
We're
stress
gonna cover them
incontinence.
all on different lives, I think, because I just can't get enough of everything you're saying. So,
Yeah,
Louise, just going back to the frequency, I heard a long time ago, and it's probably wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, that what we should be doing as midlife women is, so I know that when I went to London with my daughter, I visited about 10 different loos, and I'm not joking. I went in Liberties, I went in the station, went in the station twice on the way back. I went on the train on the way up, went to McDonald's. Yeah, I won't go to McDonald's, love it. It's bad. But you know, I went to all those different places. I
yeah,
was plotting my day around it.
yeah.
Should
Hmm.
I have not gone? Should I
Well,
have
no,
thought,
because at that time, in that moment in time, you may have wet yourself. And by the way, those knickers, there's nothing wrong with those knickers, but it's about not just thinking that's what I've got to do because there's nothing else I can do. So
love
it's
it?
fine if they are supporting you while you're rehabbing, or like I love period pants, you know, right now, yeah, I'm needing my period pants all the time as a backup, because of what's going on with me. So there's a time and a place for those products. There really is.
Yeah.
But it's about not thinking that that is what you need because you can't do anything else. Because if we've got a problem now, well, give it a few more years, it's going to get worse.
Absolutely. So, what is happening to us and in our midlife with our hormones that is affecting our
Yeah.
pelvic floor?
Okay. Right. So we know the estrogen is from our brain to our toes, and there is loads of estrogen receptors in the pelvis. Loads. Now we've got all the tissue, the fascia in there. The bladder neck has got lots of estrogen receptors. Then, of course, there's the muscle tone as well. So when that hormonal change occurs, absolutely, there is big changes going on in here, and it's not just for the bladder and the bowels. Then there is the vulva. So if we think about it, and again, how much do we know about our own anatomy? And if we don't know it properly, then when we go to the GP, then we're not going to. We might call everything a vagina, but it might be something about the labia minora, you know, which is the inner lip. And so, like, these can shrink.
Yeah.
Or you know, get smaller. The clitoris can get smaller. The urethra can retract. You can split, you can tear around here. You can there's just so many things, old scars. So if you had an episiotomy, because of that hormone change, that scar can suddenly become more aggy. Or if you've had other surgery internally, that can become more aggy, and that can affect the pelvic floor muscles. It can affect how it feels down there. So it can affect, as well, with that hormonal change, I'm more prone to UTIs because we have a shorter urethra than what the men do. And so there's, again, many things you can do to help prevent that. Of course, local estrogen, I love it. I mean,
Yes,
like,
that's what I'm really looking forward to talking to you about,
oh,
because it seems to be that everyone right now is talking about it, trying to get it, tried it. It seems to be the hot topic,
this
doesn't
was
it?
my very first thing. I'll tell you, because I know that obviously we're on a time limit here. So that was my very first thing that I noticed in menopause for me was I used to love the trousers, still do, the trousers that got the crotch to the ankles.
Yeah.
I also used to love going around commando. And
Ooh,
then
nice.
suddenly, yeah, I used to then start thinking, why am I thinking about my vagina all day long?
Right.
Why am I shifting in my seat? Why am I uncomfortable? Why am
Mm.
I feeling aggy? I should not be thinking about my vagina all day long. And it was really uncomfortable. But because I'm in this field, it was like, oh my goodness, I think I'm at that stage. I was able to go and get some help straight away, and I couldn't live without it because I have had severe GSM with regards to the vulva. It really has been like a, can I say shit show? It's
It's
not been
absolutely a
fun.
shit show.
It
Yeah.
has not been fun, and it's something I have to manage on a daily basis. So yes, no washing with all of the you know, even the soaps that they sell in the supermarkets that say it's for your bits down below, they should not be on the shelves whatsoever, because they mess up your pH balance. Then that creates more problems with the whole GSM thing going on, and
So,
you get
so
more
what would be the
aggravation.
recommendation if you're not using those particular feminine intimate
Yeah.
soaps?
Okay. So first
What
of
do
all,
you use?
okay. So coming back to this briefly, we
Yes.
know that
Oh yeah. Let's
70%
not
of
move
women,
on.
yeah, sorry, 70% of women will experience GSM and
Yeah.
discomfort, and we know only 7% of women are actually getting the treatment. Okay. So it's in the NICE guidance. Print off the NICE guidance. Take it to your health provider. Request it, and if you can't get it through there, then go and see another health provider, and you can get it on your £19 whatever it is year prescription charge, and you can keep on getting it. So don't stop
Oh.
until you get, oh yeah,
So that
yeah,
comes under your
yeah,
certificate, because
yes it does.
testosterone doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't, but this does. This is estrogen, it's local estrogen, it stays in here. There was a brilliant, a fantastic, I've shared it all over the place. There was a brilliant live yesterday with Menopause Pilates and Dr. Sarah Molly Ball. So go to Menopause Pilates. She talks about all the medications, all the symptoms, really, really good. And this is a lifesaver, because if you are agitated down there, you can split, you can tear, painful intercourse. It's painful to wee. You know, I've
Yeah.
had it times where I'm weeing and go, ah, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not fun in life.
Yeah.
So
Sure. So,
the other things,
Louise, would you
you
stay on that forevermore?
you can do, and I think I probably will be. Yeah, you absolutely. It doesn't resolve on its own. It doesn't resolve as aging goes on. And if you think about UTIs, if you go to a residential care home, you look at our grandparents when they were
Yeah.
here, and their UTIs. My grandma was in a residential care because of her UTI. That's the
Yeah.
biggest reason. Incontinence and UTIs are the biggest reason for women going into residential care. How crazy is that? When if they were using this, and if they were given like proper bathroom habits, like sitting properly on the toilet, because we don't sit on the toilet properly. So again, that's another subject. Our Western toilets are not fit for us emptying our bowels and our bladders properly, but we'll do that another day.
Oh my
But
God,
any other,
I honestly, I can't get enough of this. So should we, what happens if our GP says, I've heard everyone wanting this and I'm
yeah,
not keen to prescribe to you.
okay.
What do you do? Do you push back?
Okay, so you can buy it off the chemist. So you can buy it privately off the chemist. They'll give you a questionnaire. But also, there's other things that can support you. The Yes products are really great.
Yeah.
This is one of their old designs now, but Yes products are great. And also Subtle. Subtle is found at Joe Divine. Sam Talks Sex. That's her Instagram account. She's really great with giving you advice. So these are two really great products. I only wash with water. and I use emollient as well. You know, like you get your eczema emollient?
Yeah.
That's fine to use. So I wash with water and emollient, and then I use these during the week as well as this. There's always a cream going on down there for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
reckon I put more cream on
You're
there
a
than what I do
cosset.
on here. Yeah.
Okay, so Louise, when let's say that we've got our estrogen and we've worked out that we need to sort out our frequency, we've worked out that our brain is we want to stop those urges. What about strengthening our pelvic floor through pelvic floor physiotherapy? Can you tell
Yep.
us some
Yep.
exercises that we can do?
Okay. Right. So this is where again that would probably be better on a different live because it's not one thing suits all. If you've got a bad shoulder, right,
Yeah,
and you go to the GP, if he gave everybody with that bad shoulder the same exercise, that's not fit for purpose, is it?
of course, it doesn't make sense.
And these are a group of muscles. And actually, it's not the same exercise will suit all. And I've got another little model here. Let's see. This shows some of the look how many muscles are there. Look,
Whoa, that's a
and
lot.
then there's more muscles here. Yeah.
Round
So
the back.
it isn't one exercise will suit all, but yes, there are Kegels, but it's doing it properly. So if I go on my fitness professional mode, if I said, right, Amy, I want you to bang out 20 press ups, full
Yep,
press ups, yeah,
yep.
and you were doing the press up incorrectly at full intensity, then again you're going to hurt your shoulder, you might hurt your back, and you're definitely not going to get the toning and the result that you want. So I might go, okay, Amy, we're going to take it down. You're going to do a wall press up. Now you're going to do a box press up. Now you're going to do a three-quarter press up. Oh, the technique is superb. Now you can go and do a full press up, and then you're getting the results as you go along. So there is so much involved. If say my shoulders and my pelvic floor, right? If I'm a highly stressed person, if I live with pain, if I've got anxiety, my shoulders start to come up. The
Yes.
pelvic floor can often do the same. If you put
Oh,
yourself in that position of being super excited, right, you're going to go and see your best mate, right? You're going to see your best mate. You can't wait to see her, right? You go,
yeah.
woo! Yeah? And actually
Yes, I do that.
internally,
Yeah.
right, internally, you'll notice that with that excitement, you kind of grip onto your pelvic floor.
Yes.
Right,
I'm doing it
okay.
now.
Right, right. So if you live with pain, if you live with anxiety, or if you're super highly adrenaline and excitable, then your pelvic floor is always going to be a little bit like that. But then actually, if my shoulders were always like that, then I haven't got a lot of movement in there, and then they can't support the bladder neck when I need to have a wee, yeah? So
Interesting.
actually, it's about, let's get it down.
Yeah.
Now let's learn how to have some mobility there and length. Now I can do whatever I want to do with my shoulder because it's not up here. And then I've got more power to then support the bladder neck and any of the other symptoms that are required. So
That's amazing. That is amazing. And you've spoken so eloquently because it makes total sense. You can't exercise that muscle unless it's relaxed and it's got mobility in it in order to do the mobility which gives it strength, which supports the rest of our body pelvic health. Oh God, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, right, okay. Now, we obviously won't go into our exercise because, as you quite rightly said, there is no one size fits all. But can we just talk a little bit more about hormones in that would women that are on HRT, for instance, would they expect to have better pelvic health just from being on HRT? Not the topical estrogen, but gel sprays, patches, that type of thing.
okay, so HRT is not my specialist subject,
No,
but from what I
I'm
gather,
asking you as an
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. From what I gather, that having normal HRT can definitely help that area because it goes throughout the whole of the body. But then some women, 70% of women, will notice that they maybe need some extra help
Yeah.
with various products and medications. Sorry, what was it? Oh, that's it. But what I noticed is I'll have women go, oh, brilliant, I've got the local estrogen, I'm fine, my frequency is improved, which is fantastic. The trouble is, though, we're still using those bathroom habits that aren't actually supporting our bladder and our bowels well. If we've still got like a highly strung pelvic floor that isn't moving and grooving and talking all day long and responding well, then actually then that frequency then can start to come back in over the years. So all of it is the full picture. It's holistic. It's bringing everything in, but they're all simple. They're all simple things. And going back to the exercise, yeah, the exercise is really simple. And I'm going to quickly tell you now, because people, I'm not going to, definitely not going to go without saying how to do the exercise.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, sit down and jiggle your bum, like let your bum go bleh, like a flat bum, yeah, rather than a perky bum.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're fully relaxed, and then put your hand on your lower tummy. Put your hand on your coccyx.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you now to just go and let it all go. Now keep there. And now imagine you're at a dinner table with guests and you feel like you're going to pass wind. Stop yourself from passing wind without anybody noticing. Now stop yourself from having a wee.
Okay.
And now let it all go, 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 go. That is a Kegel.
Okay. So that was like engaging.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
people
You were telling
talk
me how
about,
to engage. You
and
told
that
me
was
how
the
to engage.
Kegel. Yeah, because you contracted correctly from the anal area up towards through the vaginal area to the urethra. It kind of goes uphill like that. So it's like an escalator, and then you let it go. But so many people will go, well, I'm gripping, I'm squeezing, and yeah, people will use their own terminology, but it's like, okay, if we don't explain it properly, be relaxed.
Yeah.
And now stop yourself from passing wind, because soon as you, so the anal area is, if I put my finger on it and it'll flash like a light, there you go, that's the anal area, the flashy bit.
Yeah.
You see all the muscles surrounding the anal area. You've got a lot of muscles. If I turn it around, you've got a lot of muscles around there. Begin where you've got so much bulk of muscle, draw up from here, and then you start working your way up through to the urethra, and then that will support, that's the best support for the bladder neck.
Right.
But you have to then let it go. And then you think about reps and sets. Once you've got the technique, then let's add in reps and sets. And don't just quickly spark off a few quick ones and then they like end up being rubbish. We want full up and down.
Okay, so no cheating. Is there an optimum time? A lot of us sit at our desks. Is it a making boiling with the kettle? Is it a cleaning the teeth type window for doing this?
Excuse me. I need my pelvic floor with this cough. Okay, so you've got to get that technique. So it's first of all spending the time to do it methodically to ensure that you've got the correct technique. Once you've got that technique, then again, be methodical, because I remember once I was in the car and I was at the traffic lights and I was banging out a few, I felt all righteous with myself, I was banging out a few pelvic floor exercises. Oh yeah, I'm really rocking it today, the music's on, the sun is out, I'm doing my pelvic floor exercises and I'm waiting at the traffic lights, I can do it all. And then I suddenly thought to myself, oh Lou, they were absolutely rubbish, because I was just like not really thinking about what I was doing. I was just feeling very righteous with myself. And so actually just make sure that they're meaningful. So you can do it while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. Absolutely. You can do it when you're going to sleep at night. You can do it while you're waiting in the supermarket. Do it in different positions at different times, but don't just bang them out just in some hurried kind of, be methodical and thoughtful and mindful about them. But you can use the pelvic floor in the muscles are moving with everything you do. So if you're exercising, they are working. You know, when you're asleep, they're going to be a lot more relaxed. So basically, bring them into your everyday life. And there are different types of pelvic floor exercises, because again, you don't work your shoulder just one way. You do your shoulder in different ways, You do all sorts of different things for your shoulders. So again, it's the same for the pelvic floor. You'd work it in different directions, different planes of movement, but you can do it in your exercise, you can do it while you're waiting somewhere, but make them worthwhile. And if your symptoms increase, if your bladder frequency increases, or your stress incontinence increases, then actually that's when you need to seek advice through a professional, because actually they may need to give you a different type of program altogether, and then bring into the Kegels. So that's the long and short of it. And there's different exercises on duration before we go. There is an endurance engagement that's specifically for frequency urge incontinence and supporting the pelvic organs, and then there are the power ones. Okay, so the power ones are for the stress incontinence, and then the endurance is for the frequency and urgency. So
Okay.
there you go.
That's amazing. So I would think that anyone who's interested to learn more will be able to see on Adore Your Pelvic Floor, your Instagram channel. I would imagine there's an enormous amount of resources on there. I've had a good scroll through, and well, every single thing you say is absolute gold. So they can find out more. And of course, you do in-person training. But one thing I wanted to ask you about was, where do you stand on having exercise balls that you put inside?
Again, you know what? There's a place for everything in
Yeah.
life. Yeah. Again, is it the appropriate thing for that individual? And does it work? Do they enjoy it? Some women are not going to like it. Some people, they're going to find it falls out and just get frustrated. Other people, they need to actually down train before they start to engage. So there is a time and a place for everything.
Yeah. And is it ever too late to
No.
improve our pelvic floor? No.
Never.
Good.
There was a study done in a residential care home with cognitive and motivated residents, and the staff were given training, and they still got 85% results on how it can be resolved.
Wow, that's so amazing. I mean,
Hmm.
that's so heartening, and I'm actually really glad that on that day I was bits of like, oh, I've been a bit attacked,
No.
but actually it started this conversation, and I'm going to benefit personally from it hugely, and I hope other people will too. There was one more question that I wanted to ask you, Louise, which is, if you could just bust one myth or misunderstanding about our pelvic floor health as menopausal women,
Hmm.
perhaps something that we should have known earlier, what would it be?
God, there is loads, isn't it? I tell you
There's
what,
so
I
much, but
hear, yeah, no, but what I hear all the time is when people are experiencing leakage from the bladder, that they will say, my pelvic floor needs strengthening. And actually, it's more about coordination and balance of muscles. It's not always about strengthening. So people will go, my pelvic floor is really weak. And you could say that actually a highly toned or a tight or an uncoordinated pelvic floor will create its own weakness. But it's about understanding the reason why your pelvic floor is reacting the way it is, and implementing an individual program for the reasons that you need, your way of life, etc., to then get the result. So I hear it all the time, because you can get bladder leakage from a high tone, a low tone, an uncoordinated tone. So it's about basically, let's know why this is happening, then get the right prescription in of
yes. So
exercise.
it's really about education, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we don't talk about it enough, and we don't talk about it with our kids. We just don't talk about it. Well, you talk
No.
about it all the time, and you know I'm excited now. You've excited me to actually do something about this, and also encouraging us that it's not too late, and that we
Yeah.
can do something is a lovely thing, because we all sort of think at this point everything's falling off, falling to bits, and
Yeah.
that it is too late.
Yeah, we can honestly, it's never too late. And I mean, I can talk about this for hours. So,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
there's
Could
so
we
much to
talk
say.
again? Yeah, because I'd love to schedule in a live again to talk about pelvic floor and intimacy. That's a really
Oh,
huge subject that I'd love to talk about. Also, bowel incontinence. There's so much, but you've really covered all the things that I wanted to ask you, and that our customers had sent questions for me to ask you. So
oh.
thank you, Louise. I'll share this across. I'll put links into your bio, which is Adore Your Pelvic Floor. And you are on so many platforms, you're everywhere, and we need more of you. We just need more of you.
Well, we need more of you as well. So, compliments back to you as well, my
No,
darling. Thank you for inviting me.
thanks for coming on, Louise. And let's do it again. And any questions, please send them over to me, and perhaps we could line them up for the next one.
Okay, cool. See
Lots
you
of love.
soon.
Thank you,
Bye bye,
Louise.
my
Bye-bye.
lovely.
Bye.
Bye bye.